I'm borrowing. Yes, I will soon borrow him as well. How are you?
Oh yes, yeah.
Around there. I think that's the place.
One, two.
Just note it down, yeah. It's a present from now.
Open University of Nigeria. Yeah. So we'll give a distribution and
No, and the Gala.
Oh,
this
okay,
one.
okay. So, so what time is your coming started?
Okay. Let's forget the starter, our lady.
Okay.
The starter is what we drank when we were coming in.
Oh.
Actually, the starter was outside.
Oh,
Starters.
okay, okay, okay.
Or arrival drinks. Actually, we just forgot. They said they should have said
Arrival drinks. Okay. Oh, so we'll just push the program and then really main.
Not the main, and then the travel
This is it after that.
Yeah.
Okay. No, then let me just check with the Vice Chancellor.
Okay.
I'm just checking if the delegates who arrived are now settled and they've found space and they've taken a breather. We just want to make sure that they're settled, and there's one or two things that we just want to fix. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Farirai with the University of South Africa, and I'll be your program director this evening. The evening today is basically going to achieve two things. The first thing is that Prof. Linkambula, the Principal and Vice Chancellor of the University of South Africa, is actually hosting the ACDE delegation this evening, hosting a dinner in their honor to welcome the African Council on Distance Education delegation to UNISA, to the capital city of South Africa, and to the country, of course. So that's the first thing, that we are welcoming the delegation, the ACDE delegation. The second thing is that within this dinner, we have also, actually there's a Zulu song that says Tumela bo malume, basically saying send the elders to come and negotiate ilobola, the dowry. This song is about a lady and a gentleman who have been dating for a very long time, but the lady is not sure if this gentleman is serious. So that's why she says, Tumela bo malume, if you are serious. You know, the elders must come and meet my elders if they are if you are serious about this relationship. So between the Zimbabwe Open University and the University of South Africa, the relationship is actually not starting. There's been lots of collaborations, you know, staff-student collaborations, research collaborations. We have participated, even worked together in a lot of ACDE initiatives where, so it was almost as if the relationship has been formalized a long time ago. But I think today we finally said we really want to show a commitment that this relationship, we're taking it serious. We want to build on what has been happening, and we want to even scale it up. So that's why this evening there will be a signing of a memorandum of agreement between the Zimbabwe Open University and the University of South Africa. And we are very glad that we are honored to have the delegates from the Zimbabwean Embassy, and of course the delegates from the Zimbabwe desk in the Department of in DECO, Department International Relations and Cooperation. So those are the two things that we seek to achieve this evening. But most importantly also, it gives us an opportunity to chat about, meet other people, meet new people, and chat about what we would want to do. I've just been given a heads up by Nigeria, National Open University of Nigeria, that as part of, going to start a relationship that will also end up with Bomalume coming in. They want to register their presence today. The National Open University of Nigeria, which is led by Professor Peters. So they have a gift or a present that they would want to offer and present to the University of South Africa, and they will present it to Prof. Linkambula. It's something that we will do it later in the program. So good things are happening this evening, I think. It's a beautiful day, and a lot of good things are happening. It's good to hear that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, so with those few remarks, let me welcome this evening the members of the UNISA Extended Management Committee, led by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Puleng Linkambula, and his members of the Executive Committee. I would want to acknowledge Professor Kehlandlovu, the Vice Principal for Risk, Strategy, Risk and Advisory Services, Prof. Tenjiwe Meyiwa, the Vice Principal, Research, Postgraduate Studies, Innovation and Commercialization, Prof. Solomon Mahano, Executive Dean, College of Agriculture and Environmental Science, Dr. Moses Shongwane, Acting Executive Dean, College of Accounting Sciences, Prof. Simi Dube, Acting Deputy Executive Dean, College of Science, Engineering and Technology, Prof. Zetunkosi, Deputy Executive Dean, College of Human Sciences, Mr. Andile Nobachi, Acting Executive Dean, School of Business Leadership, Ms. Kanya Mahlare, Executive Director, Department of Institutional Advancement, Prof. Ampine Makwe, who is the Acting Executive Dean, College of Education. And I would also want to welcome the Acting President of ACDE. He's actually the first Vice President of ACDE, Professor Peters, who is the Vice Chancellor for National Open University of Nigeria. I welcome you, Professor, and your delegation. I would also want to welcome Professor Bisanda, the Vice Chancellor for Open University of Tanzania. I welcome you, sir, and your delegation this evening. And would want also to welcome, of course, our partner, Zimbabwe Open University, Professor Gundani and your delegation this evening. And I would want to welcome as well the ACDE executive leadership, which is led by the executive director, Dr. Mwoma, and the rest of the members of the ACDE community. Let me also welcome Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Mr. Linda Masu, who is Deputy Director for the Zimbabwe Desk, Mr. Tali Majedzi, Public Diplomacy, Ubuntu Radio, members of the diplomatic community, the High Commissioner of the Republic of Zimbabwe. I would want to acknowledge Mr. Christian Masungwa, Minister Councillor Zimbabwe, Mrs. Donga Sibanda, Deputy High Commissioner and Minister Councillor Zimbabwe, Mr. A. Machinjike, Councillor Zimbabwe, and then the High Commissioner of the Republic of Tanzania, if we can also would want to welcome His Excellence, Mr. Peter Shija, Acting High Commissioner, Republic of Tanzania. And of course, Embassy of the Republic of Sudan in South Africa, His Excellence, Mr. Mark Oliayanga, who is Acting Charge d'Affaires and Minister Councillor, South Sudan. With those few words, I would want to kindly invite Professor Puleng Linkambula, ACDE Treasurer, and the Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of South Africa. Let's put our hands together and welcome Prof. Linkambula.
Mr. Fararay, you were not supposed to have left. May I please talk to you, just whisper in your ear? We need to share. No, this one. That's fine. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Mr. Fararay, the program director, almost read out all the names of everybody in this room, and I'm truly appreciative. And earlier on, I said I would like to borrow from the Nigerian tradition of all protocols observed. But I cannot do so. I cannot do so, colleagues, because our Department of International Relations will tell me that I've not followed what they would have trained us for, to then saying it all. So what I will do instead, I'll acknowledge, I just want my colleagues, the executive committee of the ACDE, led by our president, Professor Peters, in the absence of Professor Goski, at least to stand up so that you know who are the leaders of the African, the ACDE. Colleagues, may you please... yes, I wouldn't want them to sit down so quickly because Dr. Mwoma is the executive secretary who makes sure that all the work policy systems, support for the environment of the flourishing of open distance e-learning universities in the continent have a footprint, if not the opportunity for presence in the global discourse around higher education systems and the changes that are required. So at this point, I'd like just to give them the opportunity. You have not seen this done, but I'll try to test it if it can work. I'd like to give them the opportunity at least to introduce themselves, and that will be my protocol without breaking the protocol, because the other protocols have been attended to. So can I just, Shumir, give you the mic so that you start with Professor Peters. You already know Professor Peters.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Professor Olufemi Peters, the Vice Chancellor, National Open University of Nigeria, and first Vice President of the ACD board, but wearing the other cap in the absence of our dear President, Professor Mrs. Goski Alabi, who is unavoidably absent. We are really glad to be here, to be in South Africa, to be in Pretoria, and it's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eliphas Bisanda. I'm the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Tanzania. But I'm also representing the Eastern Africa region on the executive board of the ACDE. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Professor Leonard Fweja from the Open University of Tanzania. I'm the director of the Technical Committee for Collaboration. Thank you.
Principal and Vice Chancellor, and all protocol observed. My name is Professor Solomon Igosangwe Shibairu from Kenya, a university known as Masinde, Muliro University of Science and Technology. We are close to Lake Victoria. I'm chair of the Committee of Human Resource.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Teresa Moma. I'm the Executive Director, African Council for Distance Education. My mother university is Kenyatta University from the Department of Early Childhood. And there is one of us who has not stood, Korje, who is representing the Vice Chancellor. So I think it's good you stand and greet the others.
The Vice Chancellor, University of South Africa, UNISA, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Christine Ofulwe. I'm a professor of linguistics and the Department of Linguistics and Foreign Languages. I'm also the director for the Quality Assurance program of the ACDE. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Professor Lenkabula, Vice Chancellor and Principal, UNISA. My name is Paul Gundani. I'm the Vice Chancellor of the Zimbabwe Open University, and it's a pleasure to come back home.
With respect to all protocols, my name is Professor Musa Garba Metafsir, the Director General of the National Teachers Institute, Nigeria, the representative of the West African region of the AC. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I didn't know I had to stand because I'm representing my Vice Chancellor, Professor Nana Abamfu of the University of Ghana. My name is Samuel Nia Adekojo. I'm the Provost of the College of Education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Precisely because of the introductions that have been made by the Executive Committee of ACDE, I just want to acknowledge the High Commissioner, the ambassadors, the Diplomatic Corps, but also our own Department of International Relations. I also want to acknowledge the presence of our own Vice Principals. We have Professor Ndlovu here, Professor Ndlovu, at least. Thank you. Professor Ndlovu is our key strategist. When we are dealing with strategy, that's the gentleman to go to. Then we have Professor Meiwa, who's the Vice Principal Research Postgraduate Studies, Innovation, and Commercialization. You were very efficient. Then we have Ms. Nakene, who is our CIO. The discussions around technology that we've been grappling with, she is working with us to imagining the technological environments. Then, colleagues, we have our own deans, the college deans, and I broke the modalities that we are often used to when we are dealing with protocol, where you just read it and whatever. I'd like the deans of the colleges to give them the opportunity, not in more than 30 seconds, to just tell us who they are, the deans, the colleges they lead, as well as what impact they are doing. So Professor Zetu was already given the numbers to the table, but I think at this point, I just want them to speak about their colleges in not a long time. I will share my time with them. Thank you. Sorry, you're multitasking. We need help.
Yes, my name is Thomas Makhali. I'm the Executive Dean of the College of Economic and Management Sciences. We also host an institute, the Institute of Corporate Citizenship. Thank you. Yeah. Well, our numbers are ranging in the region of 65,000.
Good evening, colleagues. My name is Mpine Makwe. I am the Acting Executive Dean of the College of Education. And since we talk numbers, mine has 102,000 students, the biggest, and I think in numbers we are equal to 4 universities in South Africa, or even 5.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Prof. Zethu Nkosi from the College of Human Sciences. We've got 52,000 students, and we are known as the College for Decoloniality and Africanization. We excel in Africa Speaks, and we talk the African languages. It's where languages are based. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ramahwai Mahano. I'm the Executive Dean of the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. In actual fact, I should be the most appreciated Executive Dean this evening, because we are responsible for the food you're going to ingest. Our college is relatively regarded to be the smallest in the context of UNISA, though we have slightly in excess of 17,000 students, so which makes us a lot bigger than most of the universities. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, and all protocol observed. My name is Simiso Dube. I'm the Acting Executive Dean for the College of Science, Engineering and Technology. We are known for innovation, for commercialization. That's where we want to go. But we really have interest in solving problems for the African continent, of which water, energy is some of those areas that we still want to actually find breaking research we are thriving on research as well. So I don't want to be, kicked out of the stage by Professor Linkabola. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Vice Chancellor. When these numbers are branded, I'm beginning to think what I'm going to say. My name is Andrew Lopag. I'm the acting Deputy Executive Dean from the Business School, and I'm coming from a roaring success of an engaged international scholarship that we're driving the African Free Trade Agreement over this weekend. And we pride ourselves by really leading within solving the real issues that our nation are confronted with. Numbers say about 1.6, so yeah, I'd rather say nothing. Thank you so much.
1.6. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Moses Longwani. I'm acting Executive Dean of the College of Accounting Sciences, the biggest college of accounting in Africa. We are the biggest producer of professional accountants in Africa. In terms of numbers, we are even bigger than one of the universities. So we've got about 30,400 students. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So colleagues, oftentimes we don't allow other voices to speaking for themselves. And I thought as part of my welcome in the protocol that I should at least let the management team that I lead with to at least share, even if it's half a second, the responsibilities and roles that they do as part of understanding Ubuntu leadership, where the collective talents, expertise, and aspirations in leading a university are shared. And I'd like our ambassadors who are here, our friends from DECO, Ubuntu Radio that's here. I'm happy because I can brag that your experience in leadership of radios started with you when you founded or helped us as a university to found UNISA Radio. And now our own country and government has given you the responsibility on diplomatic and international relations issues to lead. So thank you very much. And I hope our DECO leaders are also appreciative that we recognize their presence. Colleagues, it is my singular honor and privilege to welcome you all this evening's gala dinner on the occasion of the sitting of the 44th Executive Board meeting of the African Council for Distance Education. Sorry, colleagues, sometimes our specs can make it as though we don't know how to read. So please forgive me if I make some, I'm trying to look at my text and I'm thinking, what's happening? So I apologize. This dinner is also hosted in honor of the work and the spirit of collaboration between ourselves as African distance education providers and practitioners who constitute the membership of the ACDE. I must also express our delight as the University of South Africa that the work that we do in the service of humanity to shape futures, understanding that the role of competition in the continent cannot be resourceful, but the role of collaboration and excellence and success should be the pivot point that helps us to engaging with each other. With these colleagues, tonight we will be seeing the evidence of the University of South Africa and the Zimbabwe Open University concluding a memorandum of agreement through a dedicated official signing ceremony, which we will be celebrating tonight. If UNISA and ZOU are not celebrating. Why would we want to celebrate? Thank you. I'm surprised that they are not excited about this relationship. Should we worry, colleagues? I didn't hear the excitement. I'm also particularly pleased to see my brother and colleague, Professor Paul Gundani, the Vice Chancellor of Zimbabwe Open University, who of course is not a stranger to UNISA, leading such an important institution and pioneering this historic collaboration between our two universities, an event that forms part of the spirit of foundational aims of the ACDE. Let me tell you a little bit about Professor Gundani. He may not remember this. So Professor Gundani came to UNISA on sabbatical. I was one of those students who were pursuing my doctoral studies as the second black woman that was appointed to join the Faculty of Theology in the study of philosophy and ethics. And Professor Gundani fascinated my supervisor, Professor Mukheti Mutlabi. Professor Mukheti thought Professor Gundani was very quiet and was wondering how to involve him in the national discourse on land. I had already had multiple meetings with Professor Gundani around questions of land, around the interface of Zimbabwe and South Africa, around the different sites of Chimurengas and their successes or failures, or what may be deemed as the successes or failures, but also around the fragility of the democratization of South Africa and the imperative for identifying cohorts of students and scholars who are committed to building the democratic dispensation of our country, but also contributing to the cohesion of the continent. Professor Gundani went on to deliver a lecture in a public environment where all political parties wanted him to be part of them because he had unraveled the notions of land for Africa, issues of food sovereignty, and issues of rebuilding cohorts of intellectuals in addressing these problems. So I met Professor Gundani at the time when the discourses of our country around how we think about the transformations, and even as we talk here, how we think about these transformations become important points. As suggested this morning by Professor Olufemi Peters, our first Vice President of the ACD, in his opening remarks at the Executive Board yesterday, the ACD has come a long way since its establishment in 2004. It has made tremendous strides, and there are still more strides to be made in this area of collaboration in the ODEL or CODEL space, depending on how you want to frame it. As a truly Pan-African organization, the ACD, suggests Professor Peters, must not exist for its own sake or pursue self-serving ideas in the heads of academics and managers. It must exist to promote collaboration in learning, teaching, and research in the interest of shaping African futures. For as Amina Mama states, many people know that I really like Amina Mama's rebellious and yet liberating theorization of the aspirations that we must have for education. She says, ordinary people on the poorest continent embrace higher education as a key means to upward mobility, a route out of debilitating deprivations of poverty and into the mainstream of national or even international life. So for us as ACDE, this missional mandate of the continent is not just expressed through Agenda 2063, but the aspirations of the key communities who are in the margins in our societies. The endeavor to collaborate must not be seen only as a practical thing, sharing physical spaces or resources or even technologies. It must be seen as an act of love for Africa and African personality. And some people might say, isn't it fuzzy to talk about love in an academic institutional setting? Love is a pivot point that philosophers, African but global, have always addressed as a deeper need for existential, ontological, ideological pedagogy. I learned a new word from Professor Gundane and yourself, Prof. I've forgotten it. It starts with andro, what? What did you say, Professor Gundane? Andragogy. Colleagues, we learn every day. Please go and check that one. It was a little bit of a tongue twister for me, but I memorized it. I don't know why I've forgotten it, because I thought it was my research agenda. So the intellectual work that Professor Nkosi, in introducing the College of Humanities around the imperative to decolonize knowledge, to rehumanize and remember and reclaim Africa and Africans, its knowledge systems, its civilizations, its ideas, philosophies, and technologies for the betterment of our societies and the economy is nothing that the ACDE, UNISA, the university you represent, should forget or underplay. Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the Kenyan literary scholar, an icon that many of us look up to, reminds us that we cannot afford to be intellectual outsiders in our own land. We must reconnect with the buried alluvium of African memory and use it as a base for further planting of African memory on the continent and in the world. Meaning, colleagues, we cannot be defining, describing our ways of understanding, ways of meaning-making, but also of teaching and learning using the tools that we borrow from elsewhere, not drawing on those that we drive and see on a daily basis as we encounter communities, industries, and civic society systems in our country. Professor Falola, who addressed the Africa Day lecture for our university, invited by our Chancellor, President Becky, also reminds us that the decolonization of knowledge in Africa should mean, among other things, the challenging of the colonial matrix of power, which of course has a global reach. The colonial matrix of power that Falola talks about include Eurocentric ideas about economies, authority, gender, sexualities, and knowledge that have influenced the practice and perceptions through the rest of the world. It reminds us that even as we talk about open distance education, we must be worried that the platforms, technologies that we use are not ours and therefore render us somewhat dependent, and therefore the need to extricate ourselves and liberate ourselves through our inventive spirit in order that we don't do the same mistakes that the liberation processes of our continent would have made by forgetting to center economic transformation. This means that decolonizing the African University, African Studies, the African Academy, the sciences that Professor Mahanu and Professor Dube talked about will be a multi-layered and multi-dimensional process that creates wholesomeness in the ecology, but also in the rehumanization of people. It also means that we should simultaneously decolonize while we reimagine Africa's intellectual futures, because our future of peace, of security, sustainability, and prosperity lies ahead of us. In this way, therefore, the African Academy has a responsibility to play a role in a twin or triad task of decolonization and imagining and creating the future, or even inventing it, as our former forebears, the leaders, would have, Sankara especially, would have agitated for. As we conclude the 44th Executive Board meeting tomorrow, I hope we edge closer to realizing some of these goals, and that we return to our respective institutions to implement the resolutions we would have taken over the 3 days of our board meeting. Before I get carried away, I think I have been, I need to remind myself that tonight is not only about the reflections, the thought leadership, but also about connecting and strengthening our bonds of sisterhood and brotherhood. The dinner is also a space in which the spirit of our African hospitality. We get to share our humanity and solidarity as academics, as managers, as leaders, and as distance education leaders on the continent. I hope that many of you will still find time to experience South Africa's culture, its cuisine, its science systems, but also explore the topography and the landmarks of our beautiful capital city and its surrounding areas. I also wish to state to you that we will be extending an invitation to you as the Vice Chancellors of the university that we work with to celebrate with us. Nyamatlaru would not have forgiven me. The 150 years of UNISA next year, and please, we will request you to save the date so that we can celebrate together. I welcome you to this beautiful dinner, and I hope that we will reflect, celebrate, connect, and enjoy the rest of the evening. And I really am delighted that you've all made it this evening, despite your busy schedule. We really are thankful. Siyabonga. Thank you. Akwaba. Asante sana. And Professor Solomon, don't worry. Professor Solomon thought I was one of the students, and I thought, oh, that's nice. So I'm happy that Professor Mahanu's experiments are helping me. Or Professor Dube, something in I nanos. Thank you. I'm teasing him. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's Professor Linkambula, the Principal and Vice Chancellor of UNISA. Round of applause. Thank you very much, Prof. Linkambula. And on the note of andrology, what is it? On the note of andragogy, I would want to invite Professor Olufemi Peters, who is the first Vice President of ACDE and also the Vice Chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, to give us a welcome from ACDE. Thank you, Prof.
The Principal and Vice Chancellor of University of South Africa, Professor Lenkabula, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps here present, distinguished members of the UNISA management here present. I want to single out the Vice Chancellor of the Zimbabwe Open University, Professor Paul Gundani, who is also stealing part of our ACD time to sign an MOU with the University of South Africa. And I'm jealous. Members of the Executive Board of the African Council for Distance Education, and especially our Executive Director, Dr. Theresa Nwoma, distinguished friends of UNISA here present, and on behalf of the President of the African Council of Distance Education, Professor Goski Alabi, founder Yahweh Open University of Ghana, I say, on her behalf, we ACD members, we are really happy to be here. Now, I deliberately did not say protocol observed, because I'm going to ask for a copyright fee, and I noted that the Vice Chancellor of UNISA has been doing that. So in Nigeria, in order not to waste our time, we normally say all protocols are observed. And because it's been said here twice, I think by the Vice Chancellor and also somebody I can't pick, I think our charging fee will just be twice. Thank you very much. On behalf of the President of the African Council of Distance Education, Professor Goski Alabi, I want to express our delight at being given this honor, this exceptional honor that the UNISA Vice Chancellor and management has conferred on us. This has been a board meeting of note for the ACD. It has been very exemplary arranged. And because I'm acting on her behalf, I will take note to report this to our president when next I see her. We are very grateful that the Vice Chancellor and management has laid bare their organization skills with real expertise. The meetings that we have had so far has been very intellectually challenging, innovative, as well as promissory, with a future and forward-looking agenda. One of the great fallout is the acknowledgement that as ODL institutions, we are doing well in our various universities in lifting our different citizens up and giving them the necessary skills to face the future of their career. The meeting also charged us to be innovative, especially in the deployment of technology, so as to free ourselves of the burden of yesterday. It encouraged us to look forward to tomorrow. We still have a meeting tomorrow where we'll wrap up all the meetings and all the decisions we've reached. And I want to thank Madam Vice Chancellor for the honor that you have done us at the ACD with the hosting of this gala night. And like she said in her closing remarks, the ACD will note these performances that UNISA has provided, and it's going to be a great expectation for whoever is going to agree to host the next board meeting. I certainly will not volunteer National Open University of Nigeria because I'm not sure we'll be able to match it. Like she said, this is here for dinner, and we can't wait to have our meal. I thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Peters. Once again, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very much. We are now going to do the signing. The signing of the agreement between Zimbabwe Open University and University of South Africa. It's actually going to be overseen by an advocate, Advocate Opama Wusela. But for now, may I kindly ask Professor Linkambula and Professor Gundani to come and sit in the middle, and then the witnesses will sit on the sides, and then Advocate Mabusela will oversee the process. Professor Gundani, you come and sit next to the Zimbabwean flag, and Prof. Linkambula, you sit next to the South African flag in the middle, please. The witness, and then the witnesses can come, please. I think you'll understand. You remember what I said when we started, that, you know, when you are getting into an agreement, they say call the elders and all that. It's a negotiation process. And but I'm glad that it's going well from the look of things, and we should be finishing very soon. Yeah. I think, Prof. Peters, we will be doing this with you either when we celebrate 150 years, or you'll decide when you would want us to do this. So the two universities that are signing, Zimbabwe Open University and University of South Africa, the vision of ZOU is to be the university of choice in open and distance learning. And the mission of their mission, Zimbabwe Open University, is empowering the world through high quality open and distance e-learning, enabled technology. And I know Prof. Linkambula has been emphasizing the issue of technology, that we must own it, and it must be African driven. So I think maybe from this partnership, it's something that we will strive to achieve. And of course, their values, the values of Zimbabwe Open University, is client driven, innovation, accountability, integrity, and teamwork. So I think this is part of the teamwork that we are forming with you, so that we can contribute to the development of Africa. And the vision of UNISA is towards the African university shaping futures in the service of humanity. I think I'm just saying this just to remind ourselves about the two entities that are getting into the agreement. Are we good? Okay. Okay, the negotiations and agreements have gone well. And thank you very much, Advocate Mabusela, for facilitating that. We really appreciate it. Thank you. I therefore would want to invite Prof. Gundani just to give some remarks after the signing of the agreement. Thank you.
Good evening to you all. The Principal and Vice Chancellor of UNISA, Professor Lengabula, UNISA management here present. Let me also acknowledge members of the Zimbabwe Open University here present. And I also acknowledge members of the Diplomatic Corps here present, Department of International Relations and Cooperation, DIRCO, in the Republic of South Africa, represented here. The members of the Diplomatic Corps. We have the High Commission of the Republic of Tanzania. I acknowledge you. The Embassy of the Republic of South Sudan in South Africa. And lastly, let me acknowledge the ACDE colleagues and vice chancellors and executive members here present. I can now say all protocol observed. It is my singular honor and privilege as Vice Chancellor of the Zimbabwe Open University to give my remarks on behalf of the Zimbabwe Open University on this momentous occasion. Today we have witnessed a step in the great journey ahead of us by signing the Memorandum of Understanding between the University of South Africa and the Zimbabwe Open University, where the two open distance and electronic learning institutions are forging a relationship, a collaboration in the following areas. What we have just signed is a document which contains some of the areas I'm going to cite. Teaching and learning, research, innovation, commercialization and industrialization, consultancy services, library services, or library and information services, quality assurance, community engagement and outreach, as well as cultural exchange. We will also even have staff and student exchange. When I mentioned to my SRC a few weeks ago that we are going to sign this collaboration, Memorandum of Understanding, the first thing they said was they wanted to exchange as students, student-to-student visit, which of course is already happening within Southern Africa. As you are aware, there are games for staff in the universities, Southern African universities, and students are saying we also need to have exchanges. Last year they were in Zambia, at the University of Zambia, and the University of Zambia, we also have a collaboration with the Distance Education College at the University of Zambia. And they look forward to these kinds of exchanges also, particularly in the area of teaching and learning, as well as cultural exchanges. The Memorandum of Understanding is more than a working relationship between two institutions. It goes beyond that. We are all aware that the universities, by their nature, are not meant to be ivory towers in the society, but we are meant to provide solutions to ease problems faced by our societies and by humanity in general. It is a memorandum of understanding or agreement meant to contribute towards the African Union's Agenda 2063, which is Africa's development blueprint to achieve inclusive and sustainable socio-economic development. We also have in Zimbabwe the Zimbabwe Vision 2030. The aim and objective is to drive the country towards becoming an upper middle class economy by 2030. And of course, we are aware of South Africa's National Development Plan, whose objective is also to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality by 2030. So as universities, we are cognizant of this role and would wish to play a robust role by transforming research, the research agenda between ourselves and all other sectors that we have mentioned already and are reflected in this memorandum of understanding. The significance of the signing ceremony which we have witnessed today is an endorsement of an agreement accepted by both universities, that is the University of South Africa on the one hand and Zimbabwe Open University on the other. And this becomes a promise of parties to each other. We have already had the imagery of marriage. We could actually say the consummation has happened. As the representatives of the two parties, we have appended our signatures today as a way of committing to what the document is saying. It is our commitment as Zimbabwe Open University and UNISA, and therefore we both reserve the right to call each other to order in the event of non-performance towards the objectives stated in the agreement. Today's signing of the Memorandum of Understanding is the first step of what Ford Henry, you remember the car maker, described as teamwork. In his words, he says teamwork is the coming together, and coming together is just a beginning. Keeping together is progress, but working together is success. And we look forward to that. But I would want to say that when we say we want to work as a team, we can consider team as an acronym to mean together, each adds more. On behalf of the Zimbabwe Open University, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Professor Lenkabula and UNISA and Professor Mugabe, who is the PVC Research, Innovation and Enterprise Development, and Dr. Kasuso with me for a job well done in concluding this Memorandum of Understanding. It took some time, but everything that is good needs to take time. I was here in January and February, and we started the first steps, baby steps, but now we have finally signed this Memorandum of Understanding and Agreement. It's a great achievement indeed. And of course, we want to say as ZOE management, thank you to UNISA, and we look forward to traveling together in this very, very exciting journey indeed. Finally, I would also want to thank the Master of Ceremonies, David Farirai and team, for the job well done. And of course, the UNISA team that worked through the document to make sure that when we sign our intentions as clearly as possible. I would like to end here and thank you for being with us to witness this signing ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Gundani, and we'll have some closing some remarks from the Vice Chancellor of UNISA, Prof. Lekambula.
Good evening. I just want to align myself to the great words that Professor Gundani, the Vice Chancellor of ZOE, has shared with us. I'd like to thank the ACDE and therefore Professor Peters, Professor Muma. We're truly grateful that this august organization is an accompanier to an expression of us as Africans wanting to working together, and we hope that we will work with success. I also want to thank the diplomatic corps that's here to support us, because as universities, we can initiate relationships. Without our state support or citizen support or even the science systems and science council support, our dreams may not manifest. And therefore, our own Department of International Relations has always been supportive of the partnerships that of the benefit of the country, the continent, but expressing the best that we as Africans can share with the whole world. And I'm truly elated and would like to convey our expression of gratitude, please, to the Minister of DECO, as well as our Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Nzimande. I'd like also as well, our Minister of International Relations was the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Naledi Pandor. And she really ensured that the science and technology and innovation are supported in the country. We would like to ensure that we work with all of you to ensure that our continent is not stated as only contributing less than 5% in the global arena, when we know that most of the work and the research that's undertaken comes from the continent. So we must work together. We have the obligation and commitment to succeeding as a continent, lest our people are always put on the margins. Finally, any collaboration, any work, and any success of an agreement such as this only happens when the management of the university, the staff, students, professional, academics, and as well the environments within which we work for teaching and learning, student support, engaged scholarship, research, innovation, and commercialization are also brought forward into the partnership. So we are truly grateful and would like to congratulate the university, but also all of you who are here to support us, but also to holding us accountable if the relationship is not as successful. We would like it to succeed. So I wish you all the best and thank you on behalf of the team. Professor Mayua is sitting there already stating to me that there are majority of staff and academics from Zimbabwe who are already collaborating in research, publications with colleagues, especially from Professor Nkosi's environment, the College of Human Sciences. I heard Professor Gundane and Professor Mahanu already talking about how they can look for opportunities in the farms that the Zimbabwe Open University and the farm that we've just gotten ourselves. Therefore, I can see a lot of opportunities, and I'd like to say we are hopeful that this is a journey that we would like to undertake on behalf of the university, but also our society in South Africa, as universities do not exist for themselves. They are social institutions that must be at the center of changing society for the better. Thank you.
That's right. We just wanted to do the ceremonial exchange and photo opportunity. If you can just organize that, please. Maybe bring the flag closer to this one. Okay. Actually, this is the very important part of the agreement. Yes. We need evidence, yeah. From Zo. Mhm. Zo. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But I think that can be done when people are already eating. Eat. You can treat them. No, I can facilitate. No problem. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And can I just ask Prof. Meyiwa, the Vice Principal for Research, Postgraduate Studies and Innovation and Commercialization, just to come and give us a vote of thanks. Prof. Meyiwa? A vote of thanks. Prof. And
Let's enjoy
the high table. Okay, sure.
now. I'm going to have to just say jumbo to everybody. Just forgive my hoarse, sexy voice because of my condition. I could not have missed this ceremonial signing because of the significance of it having been expressed so aptly and well by the program director, David Dr. Ferrari. Of course, my task is very small because I stand between you and the main cause that's written on the program. It's to thank everybody for having taken your time out of very busy schedules. I mean, you know, when you really think about who's in this room, one wonders how colleagues we've been able to put all of you together, given the kind of very hectic diaries that you have. We want to thank witnesses, which are not necessarily the witnesses that we had who signed the contractual compact that we have with ZO now, but everybody who's in this room serves as a witness to ensure that this kind of agreement and marriage doesn't only stand in the shelves and only electronically, but speaks to the three words that I've had to hear throughout the engagement today, that we're working towards the future because we want to attend to the burden of the past, to improve through the skilling, and doing that through technology for the betterment of the whole continent. And those three words were the words that stood out for me and which are in themselves a vote of thanks and a vote of confidence
in terms of what this marriage that we've seen today has been about. We thank the colleagues who've come from all walks, in particular the African Council for Distance Education. The fact that we have these august colleagues here is in itself demonstrating the importance of this marriage that we have here. And we thank, knowing how hectic the lives are of diplomatic corps, that they have been able to come. And of course, the Vice Chancellor's office, the Vice Chancellor's offices, if I may say so, the two Vice Chancellors that we have in front here. Without them, we will not have had this. This actually is a culmination of a relationship that goes way, way, way back before, between the two of them were even Vice Chancellors. Of course, without the Department of Institutional Advancement, we would not have had this kind of a function. A lot of work happens behind the scenes leading to this in terms of organizing, running around, and with all the requests that we put to that department for it to have this corporate status and significance and elegance that we have it this evening. With that said, we want to also be thanking Fire and Ice Protea. They've become a family to a certain degree. This has become an extension of the place where we seal a number of deals that we have for them, having prepared the venue in the fashion that it has. And of course, our media colleagues, without them, we would not have been hearing us so loud and well as recording, and with all the photographing that we shall now be seeing as this trending all around. With that said, you have a good evening. Enjoy the dinner.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Prof. Meiwa. Thank you very much, Prof. Meiwa. As I indicated earlier on, that the first Vice President of ACDE, Prof. Peters, who is also the Vice Chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, they have a token of appreciation that they would want to give to UNISA, and it will be presented to the Principal and Vice Chancellor of UNISA, Prof. Linkambule.
Thank you very much, Program Director. May I call the Executive Director of ACD, Dr. Therese and Woman, to also come? We just want to take just a brief of your time. You've heard that I've been standing here as if I'm the president of the African Council for Distance Education. There are so many characteristics that will have made you know that I am not. First, our president is a very eloquent, very beautiful woman. And second, she's almost indistinguishable from the Vice Chancellor of the University of South Africa. So you couldn't have mixed her for me. Yeah. So, but we just want to appreciate the Vice Chancellor of the University of South Africa for having agreed to host the ACD, the 44th Executive Board meeting. And if she were here, if the president herself were to be here, I'm sure what we are doing is what she will be doing. And that is why it was the thought of the National Open University of Nigeria through Professor Christine Ofulwe to think of what we'll do on her behalf as ACD for having us here. So may I please welcome and call the Vice Chancellor, Professor Legembula, to please come forward, and may I give it to the Executive Director to please give to Madam Vice Chancellor. Now, there is something I want to say here. This bag, it's everywhere. We have a former president in Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. And one of the great things he did as president of Nigeria when the university was going to be established, it was against the norm of the society. And because he was quite of age and also a president, he felt it in his stride to be able to promote open and distance education. To say that if he, as president, could register for schooling, for studentship, therefore everybody should be able to register for that. So we owe President Obasanjo for that. And this is the bag that he carried to show the whole world that he was now a student of the National Open University of Nigeria. The Vice Chancellor is not a student. She is far, far, far ahead of being a student. But we are on behalf of ACD presenting this for the nice disposition she's had towards ACD and the members. Thank you, Ma, for that. Thank you.
Oh, you said you want a second take?
Yeah, all of us, including you, Teresa.
Thank you very much.
Colleagues, we will have to declare, lest we find ourselves in pickles. So let us just, Professor Peters, we truly are grateful for the gift, and we are appreciative that the colleagues are here to witness this gesture. And I'm truly appreciative and grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Prof. Peters. Thank you, I think, to all of you for your patience with the program to come to where we are. So right now, we would want to nourish our bodies with supper. So supper, I'm told, it's a buffet outside. It's self-service. May I kindly then ask this table where the ACDE president is seated, and this table where the diplomats are, if the two tables we can allow them to go first, and then after that, I think we can then just follow in any respectable order. Yeah, if we can do it that way, I think everyone must be very hungry right now, and I don't want to trigger certain illnesses that need food at certain times, Right. I think, this table can also join.